I'm not usually one to share things online, but something from a couple years ago keeps circling back in my thoughts. I was in my early 20s then, just out of college and trying to establish a consistent workout routine, mostly going to the gym after work. It seems silly now, but I remember being particularly proud of sticking to it. It was a pretty normal period of life, honestly, and that's why this one small interaction has stuck with me for so long. The gym was mostly empty around 6:30. Not empty, but the weight machines weren't backed up, and there was space between people on the treadmills. I usually went straight for the free weights, but that night I was messing around with the cable machine, trying to get the form right for lat pull-downs. I was struggling. My arms felt like noodles. This guy, older, maybe late 50s, early 60s, was watching. Not staring exactly, but observant. He had one of those faces that looked like it had seen a lot. He just stood there, near the dumbbell rack, for a good 5 minutes. Finally, he walked over. "You're tightening your elbows too much," he said, and I almost jumped. I hadn't realized he was still there. "You want to keep a slight bend? It'll protect your joints." He didn't ask if I wanted advice, he just gave it. I mumbled a thanks and tried to adjust. It felt wrong. He kept watching. After a couple reps, he said, "Here, let me show you." And before I could even protest, he was reaching for the settings. He adjusted the weight, loosened the cables, and showed me the motion, slow and deliberate. He was surprisingly strong for his age. Then he asked if I needed to check something on my phone. He said he'd seen me glance at it a few times during my set. I didn't really, but I figured, why not? I was checking the time, actually, waiting for my friend to text. I handed him my phone, unlocked, and he quickly tapped a few things. "There," he said, handing it back. "Just set an alarm for you. You looked stressed." I didn't ask him to set an alarm, and my phone felt warm. It was probably nothing. He just wanted to be helpful, a little overbearing maybe, but a good guy. I thanked him again, and he just nodded, went back to the dumbbells, and started curling. The alarm went off the next morning at 6 a.m., which was weird, because I hadn't set one. I distinctly remember not setting one. I usually sleep until at least 7 on weekends. I hit snooze and just lay there. I was thinking about the gym, and about the guy. It was probably just a glitch, the phone doing something random. I checked the alarm settings. There it was, 6 a.m. every day. I deleted it, figuring it was a one-off. But then it happened again the next day, and the day after. Always 6 a.m. I started checking my phone more, looking for other changes. Nothing obvious, except my running app. I hadn't used it in months, but it had automatically generated a new 5K route. This route looped around a park I'd never been to. It was a really nice route though, scenic and mostly flat. I almost used it. I started taking a different way home from work. Just a feeling. The route I usually took passed right by the gym. I also started going to a different gym, one across town. It was way more crowded and less convenient, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. One evening, I was walking home from the new gym and cut through a small plaza. And there he was. He wasn't at the gym and he wasn't looking at me, just sitting on a bench, reading a newspaper. He didn't acknowledge me, didn't even look up, but he was there. I realized he was always close, not following exactly, just present. I thought maybe he lived nearby. Maybe he was just a regular guy who liked to sit in plazas. Maybe I was letting my imagination run wild. But the 6 a.m. alarms, the new running route, it felt less like coincidence and more like. I started keeping a log, just dates and times I saw him, or noticed something off. The alarms, the running route, even just feeling like someone was behind me when I knew I was alone. It was mostly just to prove to myself I was being paranoid. The log filled up faster than I expected. He was always there, periphery vision stuff, always doing something normal. Reading, waiting for a bus, buying groceries. Then things got different. I went to make coffee one morning and realized my mug was new. Not just new bought new, but better. A heavier ceramic, a more comfortable handle. I definitely didn't buy a new mug. I looked around, thinking maybe my roommate got it for me, but she swore she hadn't. It was a small thing, easily explained away. I figured I'd just misplaced my old one. But then it happened with my keys. My older set, the ones with the worn-down fob, were gone, replaced with a newer, sleeker set. They even had a little built-in flashlight. Again, no explanation, no memory of switching them. I started checking my wallet, my backpack, everything. Nothing else seemed improved, just these little upgrades. It was unsettling, but I started to think maybe someone was looking out for me. A secret admirer, maybe, doing little things to make my life easier. It was weirdly comforting. Yesterday, I found a note tucked into my running shoes. It wasn't a threatening note, it was a printed map. The 5K route, the one my phone generated. Underlined in red pen were 3 points, with the times 6:00, 6:15, and 6:30 written next to them. I almost went. I honestly considered it, just to see. But then I remembered the alarms, and I didn't. I threw the map away. Then my phone buzzed. Zezzed, right as I was about to delete the map image. It just re-downloaded, like it restored from the cloud or something. But I hadn't even fully deleted it. It was back on my phone, the same underlined route, the same times. I stared at it for a long time. I decided I needed to get rid of everything. The new mug, the keys, anything that had appeared. I went through my apartment looking for more. I found a new pair of headphones, noise canceling, way better than my old ones. I threw them out. Then the mug, the keys I just hid. I buried them in a box of old tax returns. It felt ridiculous, but I needed to do something. This morning I went to grab my old keys. The box was empty, just empty. There was no sign of them having been moved, no ripped cardboard. They were just gone. And on my key rack, hanging right where I'd left the new ones, was another set. They were identical, same sleek design, same little flashlight. But these had a tiny engraving. My initials, a small silver JD, right on the fob. I felt sick. I thought maybe it was a secret admirer. Someone who'd overheard me complaining about my old keys, about wanting noise-canceling headphones. Someone who was just thoughtful, overzealous maybe, but harmless. That's what I told myself. I almost felt grateful. Then I checked my running app. The route was still there, but it wasn't just the route anymore. It now included my pace for each kilometer, predicted times based on my past runs, and at each of the marked points 6:00, 6:15, 6:30 there were notes. Not just times, but little pep talks. You got this, JD, and push through that first kilometer. It continued with strong pace. Keep it up at 6:15. It felt invasive, beyond invasive. It felt like someone was with me, even when I wasn't running, and they knew my name. I spent the whole day trying to figure out how. I replayed the coffee shop. The moment I let that guy use my phone, he just needed to check the time, he said. He also wanted a quick look at the news. I remember thinking he seemed flustered, like he was waiting for someone. Maybe he'd copied something while he had access. My running app, my contacts. It seemed extreme, but it was the only thing that made any sense. I changed all my passwords, of course. I also enabled two-factor authentication on everything. But it didn't feel like enough. It wasn't about stealing my identity. It was about knowing me, predicting me. I haven't run since, not even a little jog. I walk to work now, taking a longer route, but I feel safer on the streets. I feel less observed. I even started taking the stairs instead of the elevator just to avoid any potential surveillance. It's stupid, I know. I tell myself it's just anxiety. The weirdest thing is, my apartment feels cleaner. Not physically, but organized. Like someone's been subtly tidying up. A book is slightly straightened on the shelf. A cushion is plumped on the couch. These are things I wouldn't notice unless I was really looking. It's unsettling, but also efficient. I sometimes wonder if it's just me, finally getting my act together.